My biz bestie Sarah said, nobody really cares that it's 300, Becky, but they're going to listen because it's a milestone episode. So give them something good. I'm like, okay. So let's talk about the future of direct sales. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy you're here with us because we are celebrating today. This is our 300th episode. 300. You guys, that is incredible. I remember when I started podcasting in the very beginning, my podcast coach told me most people don't make it past their first 10 or 12 episodes. And thinking that we started this podcast way back in December 2020 and have shown up every single week, every single Tuesday with another episode for you is like just so cool. So cool. It probably defines consistency in the book. But no, in all honesty, this has been such a labor of love. I want to take you back to the early days of what it was like when we were podcasting and then share a little bit about some of the changes that we've seen, what the future of direct sales really looks like. So whether you've been listening to all 300 episodes and you've been in our corner from the very beginning, or if you joined somewhere along the way, or maybe you're brand new and somebody sent this episode to you and told you to listen in, I am just so grateful you are here. This podcast wouldn't be a podcast without listeners. So I am so appreciative of every car ride you had the podcast in and listening, or every load of laundry you were folding and you were listening in your ear. Just super grateful for the incredible modern direct seller community that we've built. So let me take you back a little bit to the very beginning. Gosh, I feel like I'm dating myself here. But when we were in 2020, I mean, we were all home, right? And I think we were all craving connection and conversation. So in typical Becky fashion, I got a little idea about maybe I could just start a podcast and I could sit in my garage and talk to cool people and have fun conversations on the regular, and I'll call it work. And that little idea has turned into the brand that we've built today. But I got to tell you, my first couple episodes, oh my gosh, my first 6 episodes, I recorded without the microphone on. My first few hundred episodes, I recorded in my garage in a dark corner with no video on. It was kind of it was literally perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna talk to cool people and I don't have to do my hair and makeup. Count me in. This sounds incredible. But along the way, we've done some upgrading. I am actually still in the garage, fun fact, but the garage now has studio lighting and a desk and a fancy microphone and all the bells and whistles that produce the podcast today. Also, along the way, we have had some incredible guests. So if you have been a guest on this podcast, I am just so grateful that you took the time to record an episode with me and shared it out to our community as well as your network. We have had some incredible founders and CEOs of direct sales companies. We have had some incredible guest experts in the field. We've had some incredible direct sellers and network marketing leaders that have popped on this podcast to share their expertise and what they're seeing firsthand. And it has been so much fun to see this podcast continue to grow and thrive and have more and more listeners every single week. And so much of that also would not be possible without our team. They allow me to sit down in this chair and turn this microphone on. Okay, full disclosure, I never turn the microphone off after, 6 episodes of recording without it on. The microphone's always on, but they allow me to sit down in this chair and click the record button and hand over a video to them that they turn into so many beautiful social media assets and edit it perfect. So all of our flubs and blubs and mess ups along the way, you never hear when you're listening. So just super appreciative of everyone that has touched this podcast in one way, shape, or form. So we thought that we should do a little giveaway to celebrate. I hope you guys are down for that. I think I know my audience pretty well at this point, and I know you guys love a good giveaway. So we have put together a special prize package for our 300th episode. You can go to moderndirectseller.com/300 and you can enter to win. We got some goodies coming from the Modern Direct Seller shop, and we will pick a lucky winner in just about a week. So feel free to click the share button, tell people about this episode, share it with your biz besties, because we're talking big things today. We're talking about where we've been, where we're going as an industry. So I thought about maybe just doing kind of like a light, fun celebration or reminiscing of our favorite moments on the podcast. And I was like, let's go a different direction. My biz bestie, Sarah, said, nobody really cares that it's 300, Becky, but they're going to listen because it's a milestone episode. So give them something good. I'm like, okay. So let's talk about the future of direct sales and where we are headed. Because if you are listening to this podcast, you either are employed or founded a direct sales company, or you are representing a direct sales company out in the field selling each and every day. So I know all of you are invested in the future of the industry. And we've seen so many changes over the years that people ask me all the time, like, direct sales, is that still a thing? Is this still a viable option? Is this something that people are still pouring their energy into? And the answer is yes, spoiler alert. But we're going to talk about maybe some of those big changes that we've seen since episode 1 of this podcast back in 2020. So over the last 5.5 years, some of the changes that we have seen, some of the shifts that we've been forced to make, and the smart shifts that we've made to respond to how people like to shop these days. And we're also going to talk a little bit about where we're headed, some predictions that I have. I've done a couple prediction episodes, and they usually catch someone's attention or someone questions one of my predictions, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, just kind of, after doing what I've done for so long and working with tens of thousands of direct sellers across the industry and dozens of companies as part of their corporate team, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of where we're at and also the direction that we're heading. So thank you again for being here. I hope you enter the giveaway. I hope you share out this episode, and I hope you stay on this journey with us, right? I can't promise another 300 episodes in the next 5 years, but we are committed to serving this industry and showing up and continuing this podcast as long as we have an audience and listeners that are on the other side of the headphones. So I want to thank you again for being here, and let's go ahead and dive right in. I think it's only natural as we start talking about the future of the industry and where we're headed in direct sales, just to take a quick minute to pause and talk about what really hasn't changed about this industry. And I think sometimes when we talk about change or shifts, we kind of think, gosh, like, is this where I want to be, or is this where I want to be aligned? And I think that it's really important to first recognize that there's a lot of things that haven't changed over the years, not just in the last 5.5 years of this podcast, but long before my time. For those that were out there in the direct selling field from the very beginning, first off, relationships are everything. And I think that's part of the reason why I fell in love with this industry and why I was stuck with it is I'm a people person. I like connecting with people. I love that. And I think our customers really love that. And so when it comes to relationships, even with all the automation, even with all the AI, with all the tools and systems that we have, ultimately, people are people and they want to connect with people. So that was true in 1985. That is true today in how people like to shop. No funnel is going to replace genuine, authentic human connection. And that's what this industry was really built on. It's the heart of this industry. And I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. I think the other part is that social commerce, or people selling to people, is human nature. How often is it that somebody's like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? Or, oh, hey, tell me where, what service are you using for this or that? We love giving referrals. We trust people over any kind of billboard, advertisement. we want to shop from recommendations from other people. So specifically, the party plan world that we were built on in the direct selling space was really built on that group selling, right? Where one person says, hey, I vouch for you, and here's a whole network of people that might be interested in what you have to offer. I don't see that going anywhere at all. That has not changed whatsoever. Are there better tools? Are there better ways to share referrals? Sure. But ultimately, people trust people with their purchases. I think the other piece of this goes hand in hand with all of it is really that service sells. When you know somebody's name and their kid's name and their birthday and you're checking in with them beyond just the sale, right? That's the kind of service that people are craving. I know that I've had some really incredible customer service experiences, and they're the ones that I tell my friends about, right? I've also had some really bad customer experiences where I'm like, oh, never going back there again, and I tell my friends about it. So when we think about service and we think about the way that we show up to solve problems and be a solution and be helpful for our clients, that is one thing that will not change no matter how business evolves, right? I think repeat customers and the actual business model of building a team really is still the backbone of this industry, right? This idea that you can serve a customer once, they're going to join a subscription, or they're going to be on an auto ship, or they're going to keep coming back for more is such a beautiful thing. You put time in to acquire that customer for the first time, but they're going to keep coming back, and that is going to be the foundation of your paycheck. Along those lines, if you choose to step into leadership and build a team, the math around building a team and being able to build up some additional income and bonuses related to your team's performance is pretty darn magical, right? I love that leaders are rewarded based on their team's performance. And that has not changed in this industry. Now, not everyone is choosing to build a team, and that's fine. But the option that you have to build a team and have an additional income stream based on how you're leading your team, influencing your team, supporting your team is one thing that really differentiates this industry and this opportunity from so many others. And I don't see that changing either. The math is mathing, right? It works out when you choose to invest in other people's success. And that is pretty cool. And then I think the last one that I've mentioned here, and I think Jeremy's been on an episode that we've talked about this too, is that I'm a firm believer that direct sales is a great on-ramp to entrepreneurship. So I feel like I'm seeing that more and more these days, probably as my business has matured, as my audience is, that I am now supporting people not just in direct sales, but I'm supporting people that are stepping into launching their own coaching business, that are stepping into their own e-commerce business, people that are opening offices and have a service-based business. So it's really cool to see how the skills and what we've learned in the direct selling industry has given people that foundation to step into maybe something that is their own. And that's the differentiator, right? When you're with a direct sales company, you're selling their products, you're representing their products. But when you have your own business, all of those products, you got to figure it out. You got to figure out the offer. You got to figure out the sales. You got to figure out the marketing. You got to figure out the production. You got to do all of that. But I do firmly believe that direct sales sets you up to be in a really good place if you want to move into entrepreneurship. And it's such a low cost entry. You can buy a kit for usually $100 or less, learn all the skills, and then take those skills that are really transferable and put them into your own business. So I am a case study of that myself. Started out in the sales field, was really successful, learned a lot, and then took those skills and turned it into an online business, to a software that we've launched, so many other things. I really look back to my direct sales experience and what I learned in the field, and now I carry that with me into every other business venture that I step into. And I feel like that, like I said, I'm seeing more and more of that. And I think that's just kind of natural that many of the students that I started working with 7-10 years ago now are maybe still in direct sales, but also sideline launching something on their own. Or maybe they stepped out of direct sales, but they still have those values around building relationships and providing excellent service and truly connecting and caring for their clients. They're able to take those skills and really build something in the entrepreneurial space for themselves. So that's something really that I think is interesting and unique and different about our industry as a whole. But I also think that those are things that just aren't going away, right? Those things have not changed. But let's talk about what has changed, because I think that a lot of us have seen it, we've felt it, but maybe we've had a hard time articulating it. Even myself, as I've stepped into my summer conference season, one of my clients, shout out to Pampered Chef, was handing my book out at their conference. And I was like, okay, my book is great, but it was written a while ago. I want to add some updates to it. So as part of that, I really identified a couple of shifts that I'm seeing in the industry over the last 5-7 years or so that look different today than they did when I wrote that book, when I launched this podcast. I think like all of us, our thinking has evolved, the way that we show up for people has evolved. And in the direct selling space, that's no different, right? The way people shop has evolved. We survived a global pandemic together. There's so many things that have entered the scene and entered the industry that maybe we didn't even see coming. So it's natural that there are some big shifts that have happened. So when I think about that, I think, when I first started out in direct sales, it was all about like, write your Franks list. Who remembers the Franks list? Your friends, your relatives, your acquaintances, your neighbors, your kids' friends, your spouse's friends. I think I got that right. Work your warm market, like keep going to these people that already know you, that are in your inner circle. And while I don't disagree that that's a great way to launch your business, I think that nowadays, we are more intentional about building a brand that's going to attract the right people to us. If they end up being some of those people on that Franks list, great. But ideally, I coach people to get out of that Franks list as fast as possible. Nobody wants to be that girl that's hitting up their friends, their family, their relatives, and trying to get them to keep coming back and purchasing from you, right? So the big shift is, rather than being reliant on your Franks list or your immediate circle, really thinking about how to step into a brand that's going to attract the right people that you can provide a solution for. So I see that as a shift. There's nothing wrong about starting with your inner circle and people that you've already built that know, like, trust factor with. You're going to see faster results from people that already have built that relationship with you. But I think it's equally important to start showing up in a way that's going to build out this brand, that's going to bring people to you that didn't know you before you started your business. And I think that that's one of the big shifts and differences that we're seeing, especially in the way people are launching their business, is that we got to get out there and talk to some new people. It can't just be this inner circle. We can't build a business just on a Franks list. We could start it that way, but we've got to branch out and reach some new people. The second shift that I've really seen over the last 5-7 years or so is that content on social is a completely different playing field. So back in the day, we used to say, make sure that you don't post anything about your business on your personal page because it's against Facebook's rules and you might get sent to jail and it's tacky and it's icky and nobody wants to see your business garbage. Go put that in a closed, private Facebook group. And wow, that little exclusive Facebook group really served us for a long time. Those days are long gone now. So the content that we're creating has to be public. It has to be discoverable. It has to be shareable. We don't want to just kind of hold things inside this little closed area where nobody can get a peek at it. We want to attract new people. We want new people to follow us. We want new people to engage with us. We want new people to say yes to our products and our business and the opportunity. So that's been a big shift, right? We're not running games and posting memes and doing silly things inside a closed VIP group that's secret we are putting things out there publicly. We are creating content that's going to bring people to us that are interested in what we have to offer. We actually do want to be friends with strangers on the internet. Back in the day, we were like, ooh, creeper, no thank you. But now we do need to live our brand a little bit more out loud and be a bit more bold about how we're showing up. Not to mention that social media reach has declined so much over the last 10 years or so. That good organic reach that we would get from something is just not getting it there. So we got to show up on multiple platforms. We have to show up on public channels and tap into all of these social media platforms that we have available, and even show up in different formats, our stories, our reels, our carousels. So we're really able to meet people where they're at or wherever they're scrolling and attract a new audience into us. So that's been a really big shift in the way that our content is being discovered and we're acquiring new customers specifically on social media. All right, a little real talk. If your business lives on social media, you don't own it. Oh My High gives direct sellers a real website that's actually yours. Your links, your content, your personal brand, your email list. Not a replicated page that looks like everyone else's. We built it specifically for people just like you. There's no tech skills required. And as a podcast listener, get a free Capture and Convert homepage when you get started today. Visit the link in the show notes for the promo code or check it out over at ohmyhigh.com. Now, back to the episode. I think along those lines, we also kind of came from this hustle culture that we wanted to send 30 messages out, just like pushing out messages every day. And now it's really less about the quantity and more about the quality of those conversations. We want to have a genuine back and forth engagement with a potential lead. We want to connect with them. We want to give them something of value. So while social media is a great landing space for people to discover you and find your content, ultimately, the magic is happening in the direct messages. It's happening in the one-on-one conversations. It's not happening in the comments. It's definitely not happening in a Facebook group. And we're having to be a little bit more public, a little bit more vulnerable, step out of our comfort zone a little bit more to connect with people and meet them where they're at to have those conversations. And while that definitely feels like it's a bit harder than it used to be, I think what has also maybe offset that is the third shift that I've really noticed is this shift away from hustle culture and a focus on building a sustainable systems-based business. So do you guys remember when people would hashtag things like girl boss or hustle mode or things like that? Oh my gosh. We're not doing that anymore. Nobody wants to hustle harder. Nobody wants to be tethered to their phone, answering questions, responding to people 24/7. We got to build systems that help us build our brand outside of social media to really serve people and connect with them directly. So when I talk about systems, I mean automated follow-up sequences. I'm talking about lead magnets that are bringing people onto your email list. I'm talking about a CRM where you can track your customers. So a lot of these things feel like a heavy lift to get set up initially, but once they're set up, they're going to hustle for you so you don't have to hustle harder. So that is a big shift. You know, the direct sellers that are still managing every sale, every conversation, and doing it all manually are exhausted. They're burnt out. And in fact, many of them have left the industry, right? So those that are rising up, that are up and coming leaders, or that are continuing to build really big sustainable businesses are leaning into systems to carry them. They know they can no longer be scrappy in their business. They have to lean into some automation and systems so they're not working 24/7 or feeling constantly on in their business, but they can show up consistently and serve the people that are looking to purchase from them. So systems has really made a big entrance into the scene over the last couple of years. And while some are still resisting it, I do think that many are getting on the bandwagon where they're like, you're right. I do need a landing page available for me that I can have available 24/7. You're right. I do need an email sequence. So when that mama is up at 2 a.m. scrolling and finds my content and opts into my thing, she automatically gets an email introducing myself to her, right? So those kinds of things we used to just do manually. We're texting all the things out. And now we can lean into some systems to support us with that. So shift number 4, which you've heard me talk about, and I'm not going to stop talking about it because I think it's super important, is with all of the changes on social media, I think it's clear for anyone that's building a long-term, sustainable, serious direct sales business that you can no longer rely only on your social media profile. And this one breaks my heart a little bit because I built my business this way when I first got started. It was all on organic reach, and I was able to just connect with people on Facebook, really, the platform that I was on most often. But the company replicated website and social profiles are no longer enough. They really aren't. You have to be able to build your brand on your own turf outside of social media, and also not be reliant just on that replicated website. That replicated website is not capturing leads for you. That replicated website does not show off your personal brand. So you really need to move from a rented space to a platform that you own. And that's where we're seeing many direct sellers even creating a simple capture and convert homepage so they have a place, they have a hub, a home base to grab those leads, to nurture those clients, to stay in touch with them. We've heard too many horror stories over the year about algorithms changing or people getting locked out of their accounts. My goodness, I just saw a screenshot from someone in my network that cannot access her groups or pages until 2027. Like, mind-boggling things happening on social. So for those that have built on social for a long time, this is a really tough pill to swallow. But the reality is you have to have a way to connect with people outside of social. You also have to have a home base where you can connect with people and they can learn more about your personal brand. But just your company site and social profiles is not enough to build the business that you deserve to build. The last thing that I'll mention on the shifts, I'm calling this shift number 5, and that's the entrance of AI. This is a brand new chapter. This is the newest chapter of these shifts. And I think it's a little bit yet to be written, to be honest. I think a lot of people are using AI. I've been talking a lot about how we're using AI, Claude, ChatGPT, creating context documents, using it as your lovely, maybe unpaid intern that's supporting you in the work that you're doing. But back when we launched this podcast, or when I wrote my book, AI wasn't even a thing. It was not something we were even talking about. And over the last year or two, we've really seen how AI can support our business, and we can see how it can be done really well and also how it can be done really not so well. So I really think that this is going to be an emerging trend that we're going to have to watch really closely. And a lot of the AI tools and training, they're moving so quickly. Like, it is rapidly evolving in this space. So I don't even want to say exactly what the shift is, because probably by the time this episode drops, there's going to be a little bit of a different shift, or there's going to be some new technology, or there's going to be new ways to do things leveraging AI. But I do think that AI is here to stay. It's part of the scene, and it's going to impact the way that we're showing up on social. It's going to impact the way that we're connecting with our clients. It's going to impact the systems and the day-to-day business operations. So if you want to stay on the cutting edge, I would say, like, you got to at least be using AI in some of what you're doing to be familiar with what is possible using AI. I'm not going to say that you should use it for every post. Definitely don't create those ugly graphics with it. But I really think that it's going to be a tool that you're going to want to have in your back pocket. And those that are up on it and able to capitalize on it are going to be working so much smarter and saving so much more time than those without it. Okay, Next, let's talk about predictions and where we're going. So I think AI bridges that gap exactly, but I think that the future is bright for direct sales. And I know some people are skeptical or some people are wondering, but we did see a lot of companies close. We did see a lot of people leave the industry over the last couple of years, but we're left with this really core group of people that are invested in the success of the industry as a whole. And I think companies they have their eyes open. They're aware of other companies closing and what didn't work out there. And they're taking those lessons, applying them to their company so they're not in the same boat. So oftentimes when you're in the sales field, it's easy to question what's happening at your corporate office or question why they're doing certain things or why they're changing certain things. But I think that they're taking note of a lot of the shortfalls of direct sales over the last couple of years and safeguarding your company so it is alive and well and thriving in the future. So as easy it is to second guess what's happening, I think it is really important to know that they're all invested in your success. You're bringing in the majority of the revenue for your direct sales company as an independent direct seller, and they're making changes to make sure that you are more successful and those companies' doors stay open. So overall, I do believe that a lot of the changes, a lot of the companies closing, a lot of the big exits are over. I'm just going to say it. Please be over. We had a couple of crazy years in there, but as we're rolling through 2026, there has been a few announcements here and there, but I think it's far less than what we saw in kind of this like post-COVID bubble. So I feel like we're stabilizing a bit as an industry, which feels really, really good. Companies are being smarter about the choices that they're making after seeing a lot of other things happen over the last couple of years. And as a direct seller, here's a couple things that I would be thinking about that may surprise you in some of the predictions that I'm making. So first off, I think that more direct sellers are going to be building out a personal brand, or what I like to call kind of like an umbrella brand, where they're representing multiple products in different categories. They might only be building a team or building as a leader in one category. But I do see more and more direct sellers that say, hey, this is my favorite skincare, and hey, this is my favorite jewelry, or this is my favorite meal prep, or this is my favorite supplement, right? So having multiple brands under your own brand is something that I'm seeing more and more. And I think most companies are loosening their policies around this, recognizing that as we're shifting as a market, we have to be open to people having multiple income streams. And that takes me straight over to my second prediction, which is really that the reputation of direct sales is getting better. So it's not as icky, spammy, gross as people kind of used to be. Oh, you're in direct sales, or oh, network marketing. I'm not seeing that as much anymore. I actually think that people are really normalizing this business model just like they're doing with affiliate marketing, right? And that's where kind of that umbrella brand comes about, is that in affiliate marketing, you're not usually an affiliate for just one company. You're an affiliate for multiple companies. And so the same thing as you're building a direct sales brand, you might be representing multiple companies within that umbrella brand that you're creating. And I think companies are going to be smart that if they want to be bringing in some of these bigger affiliates that have a bigger reach and a bigger impact, they're going to have to loosen up those policies a little bit to allow you to represent multiple brands or multiple income streams. I also just feel as an entrepreneur that's multi-passionate that this is so important, right? Like I firmly believe that you should be allowed to represent multiple companies without some crazy policies in place. Now, if you're a top leader, I get it. You're building here. We don't want to take those people somewhere else. You have to put some safeguards in place. But for the average direct seller, if they're representing multiple companies that are in different categories and not competing, I really feel strongly that we should not be limiting the income of direct sellers so they can do that. So those are a couple things that I'm seeing, is that we're, as a whole, the confidence or the credibility of the direct selling industry is increasing. that people understand that it is a legitimate income stream. We're not, in a whole pyramid scheme or any of those things that we've talked about that we know are illegal. But I think people are kind of normalizing it. Oh, you sell skincare? Oh, cool. What brand? Oh, cool. That's awesome, right? Oh, you sell jewelry? Tell me about the jewelry that you're selling. Or, oh, you use some supplements or GLP-1s? Tell me what is it? What company? It's not, oh, is that one of those companies? I'm hearing a whole lot less than that. So also, as we're seeing more affiliates stepped into direct sales, I think that they understand that they get paid to share what they love. It's kind of what influencers do on social, right? They're sharing what they love and the products that they recommend. And I think that a lot of direct sellers are going to take a note from those books to say, oh, okay, I can represent multiple brands. I could share multiple things that I love and I'm passionate about, and my people are going to find me. They might not shop every single brand I represent. They might just be here for this, but who knows? Maybe they'll also be checking that out, right? So I see that as one of the shifts that is happening. I think the other prediction that I have really has to do with the generational shift. Let's be real. This industry is not getting any younger. And I think as we're stepping into the next season of direct sales, we got to bring in some of those younger direct sellers to bring some life to the industry. And as they do that, I think they're going to introduce different ways of selling, whether that is on social or whether that is bringing people together. I think that the old playbook of how to sell is going to get thrown out the window, and this younger generation is going to come in with new, different, current ways to sell. This audience that is up and coming in direct sales, they've never been to a home party. They use social media. They're using AI. They're savvy on how to expand their reach and build an audience online. So I do think that as younger sellers enter the industry, some of the rules of direct sales are going to get rewritten. This might also be a little tough pill to swallow, but staying current and bringing in new energy to help push us forward as an industry as a whole, I think is going to be really exciting to see, to be honest. Okay, the fourth prediction that I have, and I'm already seeing a lot of this, is that companies are just making it easier to shop, right? So I remember back in the day, right? We had orders we would fax in at a certain time. Then we got real cool. We had those carbon copy 3-layer papers where you would write the receipt and give a copy here and a copy there and a copy there. Then we introduced e-commerce, and e-commerce and direct sales is kind of clunky. Let's be real. You got to make sure that you're on the right consultant, on the right party, and then you got to add to cart. It's not super slick. But more and more companies are shifting to a Shopify type experience. They're upgrading their e-commerce platform. They're making it easier to entice people to shop for the first time with coupon codes and promo codes, just like any other e-commerce brand out there. And they're also tapping into their technology to make sure people are coming back to place that second order, that third order. So there is a big investment in direct sales technology that's happening right now. A lot of companies are looking at new platforms. They're thinking about how to do things differently to better serve all of you in the sales field. Really, that's ultimately what it is, right? So I do see that being a shift. Do not be surprised if your company introduces some new technology in the next 12 months that maybe you have to figure out how to use. I know. I feel that way too. I got a new Mac and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a foreign language to me. How do I use this new thing? But I think companies are going to be enhancing that e-commerce experience so they can better remarket, they can better target, they can tap into maybe paid advertising, they can do more to better support you in the sales field. The other prediction really has to do with the type of direct sales companies that are out there. I'm most familiar with kind of those retail products, right? And you probably are as well. But there's definitely a rise in service-based companies where there's no inventory required. So these are travel companies, legal companies, insurance companies, real estate, coaching. So I do think that we're going to see more and more service-based offers entering the direct selling and network marketing space, as well as more global expansion. So the US market or the Canadian market, depending upon where you're listening from, is a pretty small market in the overall global economy of direct sales. So I would not be surprised to see that brands are expanding overseas. They're entering new markets. I think that is going to definitely we're going to see a rise there in international expansion of where companies are showing up. The next prediction is that collabs are going to be more important than ever before. So we know that the party framing has basically kind of aged out, right? We're not doing a whole lot of partying anymore in the direct selling space. We're having to be more creative. So the words around collabs or creating community is really what's going to resonate more with the next generation of sellers. So when we think about offering collabs, it's still a group selling activity. It's still an opportunity for you as a direct seller to get in front of a new audience, but we're not calling it a party because nobody wants to be sold to at a party, and definitely nobody wants to go to a Facebook group to do that. So public collabs, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of. And some of that older language, I also think is going to be completely phased out, like the down line and the up line. I think we're going to see a lot more around creating community, not just, comp plans and all of that. I feel like there's some older words and terminology that we've used for years that we're finally letting go of, which I think is also a good thing. Okay, and then the last prediction that I have is that I think that there's going to be more ways to make money in direct sales. And so it's not just around building a team. I think a lot of people enter direct sales with the assumption that you're going to sell these products, but ultimately you're going to build a team. And I think some people are going to be here to build a team. Those people that are really invested in developing others, and that's their jam, they're going to rise up, they're going to continue to lead, and they're going to get compensated for that. So I also believe that there's going to be way more ways to make money just straight from selling products. So that might include a bonus structure or an incentive structure, but I do think that it's not going to be required to build a team to really make a legit income in direct sales. I think we're going to see more opportunity to make money just by selling products. And I think companies are probably adapting and looking at their margins on how they're able to do that as well. But ultimately, you got to have an actual business model of just straight selling product that's going to contribute to a direct seller's paycheck in a big way. And I know sometimes we say direct sales, people are just looking for a couple $100s a month, but I would argue that. I think my prediction here is that people are actually looking for a bit more than that. That this new generation of direct sellers is like, I don't want just a couple $100s. Like, how do I make a couple $1,000s a month? What do I need to sell to make a couple $1,000s a month? So I'm interested to see how that shift pans out, because for the longest time it was like, oh, I just want to add a $200 into my pocket. Well, maybe, but I think that there's a pretty savvy new generation of direct sellers up and coming that actually do want to build a legit income, and they want to see how they can do that based on product sales. So with that said, that's everything that I've seen shifting, everything that I'm predicting coming. And honestly, I couldn't be more energized about it, because I really do believe that this industry is so special and so incredible, and there's so much opportunity here. And for the most part, most people are not tapping into it. So as maybe the next 5 years of Modern Direct Seller podcasts evolve, I'm excited to see how these shifts really play out. I also want to share a little announcement here on the podcast that I got a new book coming, and I've been thinking about this for a long time and doing a rewrite or another version, but I do have a new book that I am beginning to work on. I am looking for beta readers. So if you want to be in my group of 50 beta readers that get early access to the manuscript of the new book or some previews of different chapters, I would love your feedback on it. You can check all of that out over at moderndirectseller.com/book and hear about what's new and coming. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to thank you for being here. Definitely go enter that giveaway, moderndirectseller.com/300. It is such a treat showing up for you each and every week over the last 5.5 years on this podcast. Thank you for listening. I'd love to hear from you. If you listen to this episode, tag me if you're sharing it. I always say this, but podcasts are so weird. You never really know who's listening. So if you are listening, let me know. It would mean the world to me. I hope you have an amazing week, and cheers to 300 episodes. I'll see you all back here soon. Bye, everyone.